Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Tuesday night. GWK has been waiting for more than 4 hours, so gonna have to compensate him with a half decent show tonight. So, welcome everybody. Joe Quills here with you. We're gonna get the show started here on this Tuesday night. Uh, Night that I had a day off from work, but got almost nothing done today. Typical Tuesday for me. And actually, I don't want this background the way I want it. I want a virtual background tonight. That one here. How about that? Um, yeah, it's a mess back there, and I didn't get around to it today because um, the one thing is I was watching the shows that we have on Bleacher Brothers, both on the Bleacher Brothers Twitch and the Bleacher Brothers YouTube. We had a case this afternoon where we had two shows going at the same time, almost like two chicks at the same time. Uh, we had the um, we had we had Toby Schulman's show at two, and then we had a show with Rock and Reese and Captain Ron. Captain Ron, theirs was I'm drawing a blank on the shows here. Hold on, let me pull it up because I am an idiot right now. You know, kind of like Gordon Ramsay. At least I think it was Gordon Ramsay. An idiot sandwich. So yeah, that's me today. But let me pull this up here. And no, I didn't want to pull me up. Um, it was. I just want to get the show names right. That's all. That's why I'm doing this here. Um, Damn it. But anyways, we had two shows going on at the same time. We had uh, NFL Aftermath, which was Captain Ron and Rocky Reese's show, and then we had God, why can't I think of the show? And this isn't old age. This isn't me pretending to be Joe Biden or anything like that. This is just me being an idiot right now. A little bit of uh, back to the dugout. That's what it was. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for looking that up on YouTube, you dope. And let me give myself one of those for showing my Polish heritage there. Uh, we are here on a Tuesday night here, and I was watching both of those shows, and then I was like, oh, I gotta go to the store yet. So ran to the store. Jeff DeForest, aka Defo, he was on at 4 o'clock with his show, Conversations with Defo. That was an interesting show that I saw today. Then 6 o'clock was uh, the initial edition of Kicking It Back, which is a soccer related show, and that was a interesting show because you have the guy who knows the soccer, and then you have AJ who's just learning the game. So we had all those shows today, and also follow follow the Bleacher Brothers YouTube because that's where most of our shows are on there as well. So you could get a lot of catch a lot of shows on there, even if they do make it through the censors. Last night's show got flagged because, well, at least got flagged on YouTube because I had to open up with "Mamas don't let your babies grow up to be Cowboys" because the Cowboys lost. And I'm not wearing the Super Bowl champion shirt today because I wanted to gloat with the Cowboys because I watched that video again earlier today where um, you know, the video of David Akers trashing Cowboys fans and the Dallas Cowboys franchise, where David Akers said, the last time you guys won a Super Bowl, these players weren't born yet. Well, they still aren't born yet. Nobody in next year's class in will see the will have ever seen the Dallas Cowboys in a Super Bowl, which is a great thing if you ask me. But we're going to uh, get into Dak as he is officially done for the year. Well, at least he will be as of tomorrow, when he has surgery. We'll get into that. Um, Brian Flores wants to be a head coach again. Rays need a new home. Roenick is officially in the Hall of Fame. I want to play this video, and it's probably going to get flagged, but fuck it. Uh, that's how I feel. It's little things that I want to do here. Just to build things up here. Um, so as you know, there's no echo tonight because I am flying solo tonight, and I got the virtual background tonight and everything like that. But um, and I almost forgot that because we were joking around, me and Mike, after the game, during the show last night, because I asked him what was the line on the Villanova St. Joe's game. Um, I probably should have made a pick, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Well, I'll tell you now. Um, I should have told you guys to take St. Joe's. I'm not saying that because you know because it's early in the year. It's a Big Five game, all the stuff, and it was just that how you just get that feeling that the tides have finally turned because St. Joe's had lost. I think they won another game a couple years ago, but it used to be that Villanova would win every Big Five game, but now that Jay Wright is gone, they're really looking bad, and they lost to Columbia. They lost to Columbia last week in Ivy League school, and tonight they lost to St. Joe's by 7, I believe it was. And the one thing I will tell you is, first of all, go to rebet.com. To the rebet app. I'm going to share that link here in a second. Um, the one thing I will tell you guys is you can get a 100% deposit match up to $100 at the link I'm about to spam into the chat. Um, There we go. Just making sure it went through. So, it's a fun app. It's very socially, very. It has a great social network vibe to it because you can share your votes, you can share your bets with your friends. You can see what your friends are placing wagers on. And if you had followed me tonight on Rebet, you would have seen me give out St. Joe's on the money line plus 125. Yeah, not that big of an underdog, but still an underdog. And I would have told you to play Drexel plus 9.5, my college alma mater. They covered the spread. They only lost by 8. So I gave it guys 2 winners if you had followed me on Rebet. So Rebet's a fun app. It's a fun app. It's a social sports book, and you can bet with that. Well, once you sign up with that link, it's 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you use that link, you sign up, and you use the code Bleacher BLEACHER in caps, you will get that 100% deposit match up to $100. If you put 50 in, they'll give you 50 additional dollars. If it's 100, you'll get 100. And you can, and the great thing is with Rebet, even if, like in my case where I don't have that much money in my pocket right now, because I'm trying to save up for a couple of things that I have planned after the new year. You can use the coins feature because even with those deposits, they give you additional coins as well. And I've been betting with the coins there, and it's doing what I wanted to do. Is those that follow me can see that I made a couple of wagers tonight, who I think will cover the spread, and damn it, both of them did win. So also, there's a great feature on there where you can go head to head with somebody. So let's say GWK downloaded that app. He does not like that I picked Drexel plus 9.5 today before the game started. He could say, you know what? I'm betting you head to head, Temple versus Drexel. I'm like, okay. So we put in a head to head wager. Rebet facilitates the wager, and they distribute the money right after the game. So check that out. and the money that we get is going to Alex's Toy Drive, which is part of the Dragon Bike Tour crew. And Alex's Toy Drive, they 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 raise money so that the orphans in um, Ocean County, New Jersey, um, AJ's stomping grounds will have uh, a, a, a much better Christmas than what they would normally have. So, they would get presents and all the things that they would get that a normal child would get at Christmas. And that's that promotion, that secondary promotion that we have about Alex's Toy Drive. That is through Thanksgiving. So also, if you do sign up, let me know that you did, and I can get credit for it as well. So 100% match up to $100, and we'll you can follow me at Joe Quills on there. AJ's on there. Toby's on there. Chef Tom is on there. A couple others are on there, but check that out. And you know, the link is in the chat. And Penguin AZ is also in chat. Welcome in, man. So we'll get that going here. So um, I have a conundrum here. Now, not a bad one, and I think you followed me, Penguin. And if you would have seen my bets this afternoon, you would have saw that I took St. Joe's on the money line, which won, and I took Drexel tonight, which covered the 9.5 points. So 9.5 point dog. They only lost by 8, but anyway, so that's why I wanted to do it. So I got to watch those games. I'm not really a college basketball watcher this time of the year. I'll dabble once in a while with the game here or there, but once January comes around, that's when I start going after the money line wagers, especially once the conference tourney comes out. I've cleaned up when the tournament comes around, but like I said, I should have gave out that St. Joe's game last night when me and Mike were talking, and I have to give myself one of those. So because apparently I don't like to share, plain and simple. But anyways, so I got a little conundrum here. After two, I think it's 2 years, well, at least a year, maybe longer than that, where I purposely took the late shift at my job because I'm not near the bottom in my office in seniority at redacted company, at redacted department, at redacted company. I got to work an opening shift the week of Thanksgiving. I mean, it's not that big of a deal because the early shift is a 9:30 shift as opposed to a 11:30 start. But it's going to be a little weird logging in at 9:30 to go to start my workday, and I have to set my alarms like 2 3 hours, but 2 3 hours ahead of time. But checked the computer today. I was like, huh? So I was like, you know what? Let me check some. And because it is a holiday week, people target that week for holidays and stuff like that. So no big deal. There was no 11:30 shift to offer me. So I'm like, no big deal. I don't give a shit. But you know, that was a little shocking there. So um, wish I had something. Wish I had something else funny to say right now. But um, I did hear a couple of dad jokes right before the start of the show, but I forgot them already. Shows my Polish heritage. But anyways, let's get to it here tonight. And Dak is done for the year, basically. He's going to have season-ending surgery tomorrow in New York City. Jerry Jones confirmed that on 105 The Fan. So he's going to have surgery to repair his partial avulsion of his hamstring, where part of the hamstring ripped off the bone. So um, Dallas may as well just tank the season. And if they do tank the season, but then again, I think they have a little bit of turmoil there with Micah Parsons talking shit and all that, and you know. But I think that I think that they really. But then again, if they tank, they don't really need a quarterback, do they? because this. I mean, it was a freak injury that happened to Dak. It wasn't like it was, it wasn't like it was a hit that knocked him out, like the way it knocked Tua out. But um, but Prescott but he flew to New York on Monday to visit with a specialist, all while understanding that the surgery would be the most likely outcome. Uh, Prescott said he wanted to make sure this would not be an issue that affected him in the future. So that's probably why he's doing it, because he figured, okay, well, we had a little bit more than a hamstring pull. We had pull it off the bone, but you have to make sure, you want to make sure that possibly it doesn't happen again. So that's why they're doing it here. Now, there was a strong possibility that even without the surgery, he wouldn't have made it back. Um, Multiple sources were saying he needed 6 to 8 weeks to recover, but there's only 8 weeks left in the season, so why not just go for the surgery and make everything that much better? If the surgery works, and obviously it will, but you know, gotta you gotta do what you can there. So he is looking at a 3 month recovery period, so he will be back in plenty of time for OTAs in the spring when when Dallas is finally put away the VHS tapes and Betamaxes of their Super Bowl wins. Um, but he did hurt that injury. He did hurt his hamstring in the November 3rd loss to the Falcons, and this is the second time in the past 5 seasons he's been unable to finish the season. If you remember, in 2020, he suffered a dislocation and compound fracture of his right ankle in the fifth game of the season. Um, so he's going to finish with 1,978 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 8 INTs. And how can we forget? Prescott signed a 4-year, $240 million extension with the Cowboys that made him the highest paid quarterback in history. You know, I just think that Jerry, the GM, is preventing Jerry, the owner, from having one more Super Bowl ring before he croaks. But that's just me. Oh well, I'm sure it's not just me. I'm sure Penguin AZ will probably say the same thing as well. Um, this is the fourth surgery for Dak. He had surgery on a broken right thumb in 2022, and after that season, he had surgery on his left shoulder. So that's number 4 for him. So the Cowboys will place Prescott on injury reserve if they haven't already. That will create a roster spot for the 53 man. They have signed Will Greer to the practice squad to have 3 quarterbacks available. So I imagine he will be brought up by the end of the week, possibly, or when he's up to speed with the book. You know, but the thing is, I understand. The one thing I will say is, you don't want, well, most people, I should say, most people don't want to see a star quarterback go down, even if it was not as serious as anything else. And you know what? I need to get that video again, and maybe I can download it where he said at the end of the sometime during the Atlanta game, he said we fucking suck. But but he had a you want to, even though you're beating the team you want to beat. Um, I mean, even though you're beating a team like the Dallas Cowboys, I would think you want to beat them with as many of their star players in the lineup as possible. I mean, but then again, if you were to tell me, Eagles, all right, this isn't going to happen, but play along. Eagles finish up 15-2. Not happening, but play along. Is anybody going to give a shit, especially in Philly, that we beat a backup quarterback this past Sunday? No. Are they going to care that the Eagles potentially beat a backup quarterback or a third string or some guy off the street in December? No. I think that game's a 425 game if I'm not mistaken. That may be, I don't know, maybe they flex out of that, but uh um let me just check something here as I'm talking here. So, you know, the one thing I say, and I say it to everybody when playoff time comes around, nobody gives a shit how good looking a win is or how ugly the game is, whether it's Dallas this past week or Jacksonville about 10 days ago. Nobody gives a shit. So yeah, that's a 425 game on Fox. I wouldn't be surprised if they flex out of that, but since it's Cowboys and Eagles, probably not. They'll probably have a second game on Fox, and that game would be the main game. Um, but seriously, um, I just feel like when it comes to the playoffs, especially when it comes to especially when it comes to figuring out seeding and stuff like that, nobody's going to give a shit about the quality of the win. It's how many you have at the end of the year. If it takes 13 wins to get the top seed, okay. If it's 14, 15 for the Lions, 16 possibly, who knows? Nobody cares how good or how bad those wins are. And in this case, nobody cares if you're going to blow out the Cowboys, who are now a bad team with a backup quarterback, a team that has, and this is the first team to ever do it. They're the first team in NFL history to be down by 20 more points in 5 straight games. Remember when Dallas could not lose at home? Would they win like 15 in a row before that playoff loss? 14, 15, 16, 69. Um, let me, um, but, uh, yeah, they're the first team in NFL history to trail by 20 plus points in 5 straight home games, including the playoffs. You would think the Eagles would have done that because there were some really bad teams after they won the championship in 1960. But no, congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys. You did it. You are the worst team at home in NFL history. Congrats to the Dallas Cowboys. Um, but I do want to play one thing here, and it's going to be off of my Facebook here. One second. Let me just set this up here. All right, I'm going to play this here. This is more along the lines of high school football, where my high school alma mater, St. Joe's Prep, is usually one of the top teams in the state of Pennsylvania year after year after year. I'm going to be at that game up the street from me at Northeast High School Saturday. So as soon as Also Eligible is over, remember that show? When that show is over, whoops, wrong one. I'll be walking up the street to Northeast High School as St. Joe's Prep probably plays their toughest city championship game since they brought it back about 15, 20 years ago. They take on Imhotep, which is a charter school in Philadelphia, and Imhotep is also one of the top schools, and they've beaten Catholic League schools in these PIAA tournaments in the past. But um, I'm not sure if Nick Sirianni should be focusing on uh, uh, s- uh, a high school game. But yeah, I didn't catch the whole press conference, but do want to give Nick Sirianni some props as a prep alum for this quick mention here. And I do apologize that the video is so small, but here you go.
We'll learn from anything we can possibly learn from. Um, Shoot, I heard St. Joe's Prep got a big win over LaSalle. Yeah, I know, but a good battle. Good battle. Both teams were really good, but I'm sure we will learn something from that game. We'll
I am not sure what he's going to learn about that game because it's high school ball. And the way it is with press conferences and shit like that, you get all kinds of cliches. So, you know, but Nick Sirianni still bald. Well, it's starting to grow in a little bit. Teams won 5 in a row since the bye week, and after he shaved his head, maybe he needs to trim it back down for Thursday night's game against the Washington Commanders. And well, if I was dating somebody right now and she was in this room, uh, yeah, Mike, they won 21-14 over LaSalle. Dumbass me did not realize that game was shown live on the NBC 10 Philadelphia app. So on Saturday, so I got to give myself one of those. I think that's 3 I've done already for myself. So it's one of those days. So, um, but but I will be up there at Northeast High School at 12 noon. 12 noon kickoff. Prep against Imhotep. Uh, Now that's going to be an interesting matchup. And one thing I said was, even though the prep has a national preseason schedule, if you don't want to travel that one game, Imhotep is a game that I would have loved to see the prep play. But I don't want to see them playing them in November at Northeast High School. But I'll be there. Cost me $10 to get in, but the weird thing is, as I ordered my ticket for Saturday, I got reserved, general admission, and they give you 3 options: prep, Imhotep, or general. I had to get general for reserved seating because the prep is already sold out. Now I don't know. I think the prep is the home team if I remember the how the brackets work, but you do but the thing is, I think with them being a charter school, I think that they will bring their fans to the game, but um, I think you're going to see a lot of prep fans there, and especially if they sold out already. But what may have happened was the prep may have bought all the tickets on their side, and they said, "All right, well, we're going to distribute them through school, and we're going to sell them $10. And we'll give them the QR code and shit like that." But I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I will be up there, up the street Saturday at 12 noon. Um, you know, since since the initial plans for Saturday fell through, I'm going to take a couple hours away from the apartment, head up the street, watch some football. First high school football game I've seen in person, I think, since the pandemic. And it's not anything to do with COVID or anything like that. It's just that the way that the Philadelphia Daily News is now, it's a rag. It's not even a newspaper anymore. I mean, it's about 32 pages. I mean, you can read that whole newspaper once sitting on the toilet. Uh, I mean, but that's a great thing about the Daily News. You can take that into the bathroom. You can tell your religious friend that he wants to pray for you. I said, dude, I'm reading Deuteronomy. Get back to me later. Well, Deuteronomy was the Daily News, but that's a little inside joke between me and Mike because I joked about the one former coworker that we had at Redacted Company who was a religious freak who loved the war, which made no sense to me. But uh, but you do have you know, but I will be up there Saturday for the game. First game in 4 years I've gone to. First high school game, I should say. Mike knows exactly who I'm talking about, and he knows about the incident as well because that goes back to the old office. So that story's probably because we moved from Delaware County. I'm going to keep it generic, Mike, because I work at Redacted Company. If you look at my Facebook profile, I work at the Joe Quill Show. I won't mention who I work with because I need to protect that nest egg for those that are wondering why I say Redacted Company. Um, so we moved from Delaware County to downtown Philly in 2008. And the reason why I know it was 2008, it was the beginning of that World Series season for the Phillies. And we got to hear this on Halloween in 2008.
World champions. World fucking champions.
I don't know why I still have that on my list here because I don't need it until January maybe or February. But you know, but we moved in 2008, and well, we've technically been there for 16 and a half years. Haven't been in there for 4.5 years, except for one day where I had to take a test for a temp promotion slash loan offer that I got. But other than that, nothing, nothing really, you know. Because the one thing is I do miss walking up the street and knowing I'm close to work when I see the I Love Massage place on North 9th Street, if it's still there, because I haven't been down there in a couple of years, at least actually at the building, because I joke around all the time about it, because, they kind of, because the Chinese massage parlors, they'll have a little bit of um, diversion with their windows and stuff like that. Like you'll see one person giving the other a massage, an actual massage, not one of massage, but but we know what happens behind the scenes. We know what happened to uh, um, Robert Kraft. He invented the crafty, but and like I said, I joke around about those places, but I mean, I don't want to. The thing is, do you really want to call somebody and say, "Well, can you bail me out of jail?" Well, why is that? Well, the one time I decide to go get a massage, they had a raid. So guess what? That's the luck that I would have, and I am not doing it. So you know, there's plenty of other ways to do your thing, but that's a topic for another day and not on this show. Uh, but you know, now Dak can get a massage. Hopefully, not like Deshaun Watson, because we know what happened with him. He got 13 games or whatever that number was, that goofy number he had. Um, but we'll see. We're going off on tangent upon tangent upon tangent. So, and that's a great thing about the show is I could just go off on tangents left and right. So, um, moving on to my next story here. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, he let it be known today that um, as the NFL head coaching carousel ramps up this winter, he wants to be a part of it this year. Now, here's the thing: he sued the NFL a couple years ago because of um, the whole process that they have, and you can call it, um, the Rooney Rule had its good intentions, but you do have guys who have been hired because of the Rooney Rule, and some that just went through the motions. And in some regards, I mentioned how I had an impromptu interview at the MLB Diversity Summit because they had like a job fair on top of everything else, and um, I was so unprepared for it that um, I told the guy who was interviewing me, I said, you know, I do apologize. I don't have a resume with you right now because um, I had somebody review it the very last minute, and she basically said just redo the whole thing. So he goes, no problem, blah blah blah. So went through the process, and the thing is, more than anything else, I will tell you that was my first job interview in 15, 20 years. So in some regards, having that interview process can be a good thing. But the problem is that we get to here, and this is why Brian Flores sued the NFL and sued a couple different teams, is because he was just brought in to meet a requirement that the NFL has. And the NFL has a requirement that you gotta interview at least two minorities. So it's both a good thing and a bad thing. And if I had that drop, I would say sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Do I have that on here? Um, hmm, Let me check something here. No, I don't. Okay. It doesn't matter. Anyway, but the thing is, will the NFL teams have him go through the interview process? One, after he sued the league, and two, after blasting them in social media. I mean, not social media, on CBS This Morning and all the different things that he did as well. Um, I mean, his defense is the top ranked defense based on DVOA, whatever that means. Probably some analytical thing that is way above my pay grade because I prefer stats that are more tangible, especially with baseball. But you get the idea. So he's one of the NFL's top performing assistant coaches this year, based on that stat. Um, but before speaking with Adam Schefter on his podcast today, well, first of all, he said, "Look, there's only 32 of these jobs. I would certainly want to be a head coach in this league again." So maybe maybe he has learned some things, and and sometimes you got to take a step back before you make that step forward again. But you do have to realize that maybe maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I wasn't ready in certain aspects that he got trashed by Tua Tagovailoa from other players at Miami. You know, maybe it does take going to Pittsburgh, being with Mike Tomlin in 22. Maybe it take or was it 22? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Maybe it does have to have him go to Pittsburgh and go to Minnesota to say, you know what? I screwed up that job royally. Maybe he needed that. And hopefully, if he does get an interview, they will ask him, well, what do you feel happened in Miami? And he would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, however he would word it. Now he did sue the NFL and several teams, as I mentioned before. Mike wishes him the best. So do I. Um, he alleged discrimination regarding the interview process with Denver and New York, and his firing by the Miami Dolphins. New York, I think, was the Giants because they brought him in for an interview, and he was accidentally included on a text message where they were bringing in Brian Dable to be the head coach. I do remember that. Now, the NFL stripped the Dolphins of their 2023 draft pick, among other disciplinary measures, after an investigation into accusations of tampering that surfaced in Flores' lawsuit. But the lawsuit itself is still working its way through the legal system, the NFL's arbitration process. So it hasn't been decided yet. But it turns interesting because it's interesting because he sued the league itself, which in a way is his employer, but it's like, it's kind of like redacted company is my employer, but I report to a certain manager, reports to a certain managers, that sort of thing. So he reports. In a way, in a different way, he's employed by the NFL, but he's technically employed by then the Miami Dolphins. So, and in this case, right now, he's employed by Minnesota, employed by Kevin O'Connell, employed by the owner who owns an NFL team. But he was with the Steelers in 22 before joining the Vikings after a year there in Pittsburgh. He confirmed after the 23 season that no teams requested a head coaching interview. Could it be the same? Could it be somewhat similar to Colin Kaepernick? Maybe. Who knows? I'm just peeking here. Yeah, Sixers are down 13. Now, you can also say that some of the criticism he got may have been part of the reason why he didn't get a head coaching interview last year as well. Because he was forced to address criticism from Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who referred to Flores as a terrible person in an interview this summer. I covered that over the summer. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was not covered before, he said in 2023 that Tua was broken by Flores' coaching methods. But Flores is a defensive coach, though. So, read into that what you will. But I think you have to, not every coach that goes into the NFL as a head coach for the first time, whether it's from an assistant role to head coach or from college to the pros or whatever, not everybody is an Andy Reid type head coach because, you go and you succeed and you have a long tenure at that team. A lot of head coaches that are the hot person on the market do tend to fail. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who was fired last year. But, a couple of times these head coaches, they don't, their head coaches are here. Here's a perfect example from earlier this year, Robert Saleh. Some will say that he was in over his head. I will argue that he was in a no-win situation. And there's only one way to see who's right, whether it's me or everybody else, or we're both wrong. And that's hiring him to another head coaching job. But a lot of times, these head coaches, um, case in point, the Eagles defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, finally got a head coaching job at Denver. Went 1 year, finally got that. Vic Fangio, my bad, Fangio. What the hell am I thinking? He had that one shot as a head coach. Didn't do shit in Denver. I mean, he'd been an assistant coach for millions of years. Hyperbole, but you get the idea. Finally got the head coaching job. Didn't do anything. Was gone. You know, some, but that was. I mean, he wasn't the hot head coach in waiting. Because you try to get that young coach like a Brian Johnson. At least that's the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson, not Ben Dover, Ben Johnson. You know, Ben Johnson, it was the hot name last year. He decided to stay in Detroit for another year. Does he stay? Does he go? Do we have to play Should I Stay or Should I Go Now by The Clash? No. But he may, sometimes you have that name, and there's only one way of knowing if you're good enough to be, if you're a good head coach in waiting or a failed head coach, and that's by doing the job for a couple of years. And like, for example, Robert Saleh, I just think he was in a no-win situation being in New York with the Jets. You know, I mean, I would love to see him with the Eagles, but I really think that, you know, I mean, I would love to see him. I mean, it's not going to happen unless Vic Fangio leaves the Eagles, and he's not leaving. We know he's not going to a head coach. We know he's not going back to a head coach because he is 64, I believe. No, he's 66. So he was a head coach. He was a head coach back in 19 to 21. He was there for that long. I thought he was one and done there in Denver, but shows how much I remember things. But Vic Fangio, wasn't your typical first time head coach, but these young names that you get in the NFL, like a Ben Johnson or a Ben Dover, you know, you do uh, you do get that opportunity, and you get to find out. And I think sometimes you may even be mislabeled because you're in a bad organization. Now, the Carolina head coach, and I'm going to get back to the story here, but I'm just talking. Um, the head coach for the Panthers, Dave Canales, he may be proving to be a good head coach. It's just that he needed to get a situation where he needed to sit Bryce Young. And, Bryce Young may go back to his old ways next week. Who knows? Or he may improve. Because sometimes all you need is a couple of wins to get yourself back on track, whether on track means winning games or just looking like a starting quarterback in the NFL, but Dave Canales is a quarterback whisperer, and he got his job because of that. And he's probably going to be a good coach. And there's only one way to do it. I mean, especially when you got a franchise that has been in disarray, like the Carolina Panthers. If he can help Carolina get back on track, get a few more wins this year, and build off of it. Because if you remember, Andy Reid, his first year, what they go 5-11, I think it was, but they built for the 2000 season when they won the division, or no, they won the wild card. They had the home game that was a wild card with the old format. They are no, it's the 2000 season. But whatever. But the first season for Andy Reid, everybody was saying, "Oh, Andy Reid is horrible." But also, you had a new quarterback in Donovan McNabb. You had this, you had that. You know, um, and I'll get to that in a second, Mike. Um, you know, but all of a sudden, the Eagles said, "You know what? We're not tanking these last three games." But then back in 2000, the word tank was not in teams. It was not in team or fan bases vocabulary. Thank you, Sixers. Trust the process. Trust this. Um, but I will say this. You know, there's only one way. The Eagles built their run there with Andy Reid because they won the last three games of that season, and the next thing you know, they go 10-6. They get a playoff berth. They win a home playoff game, and that built the momentum for what Andy Reid was doing here in Philadelphia. It helped that he had a rookie quarterback that he can mold. And Mike says all college quarterbacks do not succeed. See Ryan Leaf, Keely Smith, um, I'm trying to think more recently, Tim Tebow. I mean, that's a special category for him. But you get the idea. For every quarterback there's that succeeded in the NFL, and how you define succeeding is different from being Mike and me, Mike, and any other football fan. But you got to realize that no two teams have the same. I mean, no two teams or no two fan bases have the same definition of a successful quarterback. Is it that he threw for 400 touchdowns? Is it that he won three Super Bowls? Is it that he won one Super Bowl? Is it that he got the team the playoffs year after year? There is no real definition. But, you know, but like Mike says, not all quarterbacks don't succeed. Not all the quarterbacks succeed in the NFL. That's plain and simple. But going back to here with Flores, um, when Flores talked to Adam Schefter today on this podcast, he said that there exists a public misconception of his time with the Dolphins. And here's the thing: when you have a he said she said issue, there's always going to be three. I mean, in my opinion, there's always going to be at least three sides of the story. There's going to be Tua's side, there's Brian Flores' side, and there's the actual truth. And we're never going to know the actual truth. At least I don't think so. Um, um, Flores said, I think a lot of people view the Miami experience as all negative. I see it as all negative. I really don't. I think it was a great experience for me and my family. There's so much I learned during my time there that made me a much, much better coach today, better in a lot of areas. And just in reflecting on that time, there's things that obviously I would like to do better, but there's also a lot of things I would continue to implement. So, and I think when you come back as an assistant coach and you're with somebody with Mike Tomlin who's never had a losing season in his NFL career and won't have one this year unless Pittsburgh goes into shitter. I think when you go back to an assistant coach, and especially being a part of a guy who's been in the league as long as Mike Tomlin, I think you realize, yeah, I screwed up. Some of these things worked well, some of the things didn't. And a lot of it is how do I grow as a person, as a professional, as this, as that. That's the key. You know, like for example, I use Chip Kelly as an example. Bad head coach. My personal opinion, and I said it after the Eagles got fired. Eagles fired him. The one thing I said when he got hired by San Francisco is he should take a year off. Take a year off. Do something like Brian Flores did. Even though it was something totally different. Thanks, Penguin. I do appreciate that. He said great comments, show. Um, but the one thing I will say is sometimes you need to step away. Sometimes you need. I mean it. I mean it. I will say even as I could say honk honk. Seriously, back to what I was saying. I think sometimes you need to step away to realize what I did right, what I did wrong, what I got to do to improve, and what should I not do to improve my job. I think that when you realize what you did right, what you did wrong, because a lot of the stuff that they were talking about, the common fan does not see. All that stuff in the locker room and stuff like that. We don't see that. That's important to note. You could be a hell of a coach, and you could be a total asshole in the locker room. But the thing is, depending on your team, being a total asshole sometimes will motivate your team to win, even despite you, or you blow up the team like Chip Kelly did, traded guys who should have never been traded or released, false stories and stuff like that. That probably would have helped Chip Kelly that he went away if he really wanted to be an NFL coach. Even though a lot of his players that he did draft and some of the guys were from the end of Andy Reid's era were on that Super Bowl winning team. But you got to realize that, not every, I mean, I don't know if he's going to get that. I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity. Bank Boy, welcome in as well. Hope you're having a good night out there. I don't know. Would I like to see him get a job in the NFL again? Yeah. We'll get to see if he learned from his mistakes in Miami. And I don't think this is just blowing smoke up somebody's ass or anything like this. I think it was a great experience for me and my family. Um, and I'll get to that statement in a second, Mike. Um, I don't think that's blowing smoke or being ignorant to everything. I think that sometimes you can turn a negative into a positive. Sometimes you have a negative experience at the end, but you know what? You know not to do it again. You know what you have to do as a head coach because, the athletes of today are so much different than the athletes of 20, 25, 30 years ago. Even Bill Belichick learned that the hard way. It helped they had a quarterback that wasn't going to take a $60 million contract because his wife was making that uh, through all the modeling she used to do. But, you know, but I think that he says, there's much I've learned during my time there, which is important because you know what? If you learn, if you have the time to think about it, whether it's the year that he was away, I think he missed a year of NFL action as a coach, came back with Pittsburgh. Sometimes, you reflect, it's like, hmm, okay. And I think going to Pittsburgh, looking at it in hindsight, was probably the best move for him because, you know, and I'm not turning this into a race thing either, but he goes to a team with a black head coach. So, you know, he could probably ask him like during downtime certain things if he did, because, if you were to ask Nick Sirianni those questions, he can't relate like Tomlin could, but also Mike Tomlin couldn't relate with being fired, I don't think, because, he's been with Pittsburgh for so long. I don't know what his past history is before that. I guarantee he was never fired. He probably went from one team to another team, like maybe an assistant coach, a coach became a head coach at another school or team and saying, come on, you're coming with me to this new place. Yeah, that probably happened too. I don't know. But, um, but Flores has spoken often this season about the football and the social comfort zone he has found in Minnesota and joked on Tuesday that his family might put up some resistance to moving away. I get that. And you know what? He may have a Ben Johnson situation where he may not want to leave. He may want to be in Minnesota for a couple more years, and that's fine too. But I think also he has the itch, as I have an itch on my nose, that he does want to be a head coach again. I think he has something to prove, but with the lawsuit and everything, is he going to be blackballed the same way that Colin Kaepernick was? But um, but uh, but Flores did also say here. But for me personally, I think being a head coach is something I'd like to do again. So that is an important thing there. So Mike did say here, because I brought up Chip Kelly and I was using how he went right from the Eagles to San Francisco. It seems like Chip Kelly is comfortable in college. Yeah. And part of the reason why he went to the NFL was because um, Oregon ended up on probation, and Chip Kelly, I believe, had a 5-year show cause penalty. So if he were to be hired at any point, um, uh, and so there were recruiting violations under Chip Kelly's watch when he was at Oregon. Oregon's football program was on probation for 3 years. Um, they were they had reduced paid visits. Let me just see here. Because I think he had a show cause penalty. Basically, what that means is you had to explain your violation because he did leave for the NFL after that. So let me see here. Okay, Chip Kelly had an 18-month show cause penalty, which would have made him leave to go back to college difficult. The obstacle became moot after Kelly spent the next 4 years coaching the NFL. And basically, what a show cause penalty is, it's an administrative punishment ordering that NCAA penalties must be imposed on a coach found to have committed major rules violations, um, stay in effect against that coach for a specific period of time. So, um, so with Chip, now somebody had a show cause penalty of 5 years recently. Uh, may even be longer than that. But if somebody were to hire that coach, and the name is escaping me, it's not worth looking up, so don't even try. Um, if that coach were to get hired, he has to sit out an entire year for a penalty for his actions with whatever he did. But and Mike says that um, he, meaning Brian Flores, will not get the opportunity. You know, who knows? I mean, I don't think so either, but you know, I, you know, you hope it's that he actually does get that job. You know, in order to get a job and actually gets a job and not being, you know, oh, we just got to fill the requirement here. We want you to interview, just like the Giants were doing to him. But you know, it would not surprise me that he does not get an opportunity either. It's just the way that things are here. Um, so hopefully he gets that opportunity, and you know, only time will tell. And you know, we'll see. So anyway, um, I guess that was all my football stories. I thought I had a third football story there, but I guess not. So anyway, so on the baseball here, and this was announced earlier today. Um, the the Trop in St. Pete, where Tampa Bay Rays play, as you know, it got hit hard by Hurricane Milton. Well, it can be fixed, but it won't be ready until 2026. So, so there was a detailed assessment of the hurricane damage to Tropicana Field. They said that the stadium's still structurally sound and can be repaired for about $55.7 million in time for the 2026 season. Doesn't help them for this upcoming season, but 2026, eh. So, so a 412-page report was released by the city of St. Pete, which owns the building, found that the basic structure of the dome stadium does not appear to have been adversely affected by Hurricane Milton's winds, which shredded most of its fabric roof. Now, the thing is, you know, even though it now makes sense that it was a fabric roof, I didn't realize it was a fabric roof, you know, but then again, I didn't care. But, you know, you kind of get, you know, if you really think about it in hindsight, yeah, because it was a little bit lighter on the field during the day than it was at night. So, duh me. But but I'm all I'm worried about is just don't hit those catwalks with a fly ball. That's all. That's all I'm worried about when I watch a game from there. But um, Now, the primary structure is serviceable and capable of supporting a replacement tension membrane fabric roof. The report by Hennessy Construction Services. So, so they can put Humpty Dumpty back together or the stadium back together if they choose to. Um, Now, 18 of the ballpark's 24 fabric panels failed when Milton roared ashore on October 9th. There was damage to interior parts of the trop as well, um, from rainwater and other storm related causes. Wind, who knows? Maybe there was a lightning strike or two, who knows? Um, but the ballpark has been open since 1990, but the Rays didn't start playing there until 1998. And I mentioned it before. Um, the Tampa Bay Lightning used to play there, and the hockey rink used to be up and down the third baseline, or what is now the third baseline. So, when they got their hockey team down there, they used it. The stadium was originally built so you can draw a team to move there. For example, they tried to lure the Chicago White Sox to go down there. They didn't end up going there. They ended up staying. But you did have that opportunity, but it just didn't happen. So now, if you remember from when I was first talking about this last month, MLB wants to keep Tampa Bay in the area as much as possible. They want to keep them near their fan base if at all possible. And a lot of people were saying, well, why not just move them to San Francisco for not San Francisco, Jesus Christ, to Montreal for a year or maybe the final 3 years until their stadium is ready in 2028, which is going to be in the area, right across the parking lot, I think it is. But we'll get into that in a second. Montreal this year, Olympic Stadium is going under renovation, so it will not be available to anyone in 2025. So you won't be seeing anything at Stade Olympique. Um, Now, the one good thing about the Tampa Bay Rays being in that area of Florida is it's a hub for spring training, and it's also a hub for the Florida State League, which is a single A league. So, I mean, some of the ballparks that um, have been suggested so far: Clearwater, where the Phillies play; Tampa, where the Yankees play. I think Tampa's the biggest Florida State League stadium. Dunedin with Blue Jays. They had upgraded their lighting, I believe, a couple years ago when Toronto played there when they had the COVID restrictions in Canada. Sarasota, which is the Orioles facility. Lakeland, the Tigers facility, and even their own spring training home in Port Charlotte. Now, most of those locations host minor league teams in the summer. So you will have some issues with, if you just say, well, we're going to keep them Florida, we're going to keep them, and we're going to put them in, um, well, this week we're going to be in Tampa, and then next week we're going to be in Sarasota. And then for 3 games of this series, we're in this town, and then 3 games we're in this town. It'll get real confusing, but I understand what Major League Baseball wants to do. They want to try to give the fans baseball, and you know what? If you put them in but the only problem is you're going to have two major league teams in minor league stadiums, which is not good. Um, but then again, Oakland, which is now just the Athletics, no longer with a city name in front of them, they will probably outdraw what they did last year, this past season in Oakland. Because in Oakland, nobody was showing up because they hated the owner. And one thing I realized last week, not only does John Fisher have a team in MLB, which is in the toilet, even though they do have some prospects that are worth, some major league talent that could be stars in a few years, and maybe by the time they get to Vegas, they can actually spend a little bit more money. He also has the San Jose Earthquakes, which finished dead last in the Western Conference of MLS this year. So, and I only know that because Bruce Arena, the soccer coaching legend, he signed with the San Jose Earthquakes last week. But um, but going back to this story here, you know, I mean, you got so many different things that they can do here, and I think that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg with what might happen here. But Tropicana Field is already scheduled to be demolished when a new $1.3 million ballpark is finished in time for the 2028 season. Because they do have a stadium that's going to be in that same area. Um, Now, with unforeseen costs to the city and Pinellas County from two hurricanes, vast amount of debris removal, damage to parks and infrastructure, two of the main financial sources for the new ballpark could reconsider those plans and decide not to repair the trop at all. They could just say, it's kind of like a car, fuck it, total it. Um, Now, St. Pete City Council will discuss the report at its November 21st meeting. Um, and council member Brandy Gabbard said, "We have so much need across the city. I love the race. I love Tropicana Field. It's not about not wanting to do this. It's about a balance of priorities." Bingo. You know, you can't just, because you're already spending money for this new stadium. I'm sure the city and the county gave the gave the Rays a bunch of money to help build that stadium because, and it made mention here as well. Yeah, here it is. Um, well, this isn't exactly it, but the council recently approved 6.5 million to clean up the ballpark and protect it from any further damage, including waterproofing areas such as the press box, seating areas, and scoreboard. There is an insurance claim for damage and repairs, but it includes a $22 million deductible and probably would only cover part of the overall costs. That means taxpayer dollars would have to be used. And trust me, people don't go to Tampa Bay Rays games now. You think they will want to spend money on a stadium that is going to be destroyed 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I don't think so. But that new stadium is part of a $6.5 billion project that will include affordable housing, a Black History Museum, retail and office space, and restaurant and bars. So you're gonna have a mixed property. And that's the trend now with stadiums is, you know, get the entertainment, but you also uh, get the living quarters as well, affordable housing and stuff like that. Um, the project is known as the Historic Gas Plant District, which was once a thriving Black community, which was displaced by construction of the ballpark and an interstate highway. So, um, I'm, you know, it's all, you gotta. I'm all for, if you know, helping out those that are in need. I mean, this isn't totally, just build the stadium. Hey, community. Hey, hey. But I mean, with the Sixers project, that's all raging shit show. But I think, but when they were coming up with this stadium idea, never do you plan for a hurricane, especially a hurricane that went in that direction, because it's rare that a hurricane, especially that magnitude, hit in that direction because they usually don't. they hadn't been hitting the West Coast. They've been hitting the Northern Panhandle. They've been hitting, you know, from from west to east, not east to west, not west to east. But the last couple of hurricanes have been hitting that Tampa Bay region, and I mean, they are resilient down there, but you have all these things that happen. But it's when you have a major catastrophic event like a hurricane, you got to look at everybody, not just because it's the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm sure Tampa Bay Rays could possibly get assistance from Major League Baseball if they really needed to. I don't know if that would be possible, but you know, I think Major League Baseball would try to help them out as much as they can, whether it's having them go to another stadium or something like that. But I definitely know that they will not have them play all 162 on the road. That's definitely given. And I doubt they would move them to Miami. It just may be that they take advantage of spring training and the Florida State League being down there and just going, maybe be 3 games in Sarasota, 3 games in Clearwater, a 4 game series. Even if they went up to Jacksonville, which is a AAA team, I mean, I could see that, you know, but I think they want to do whatever they can because it's more than just, you know, even if you get 8,000 for a game at Tampa Bay, the 8,000 will be tighter together and may even be louder than in Tampa Bay at Tropicana Field if the roof didn't fail. But we'll see. But hopefully they come up with the plan for this year because Tampa Bay, you got to figure out something now. It's better to figure it out now as opposed to waiting to the last minute because those last minute decisions never turn out well. But now I wanted to talk about this because I have the video here that I want to share. Jeremy Roenick, the former Flyer, started out his career in um, he started out his career with the Blackhawks, with the Phoenix, with the Kings, and the Sharks. He finally was inducted into the Hall of Fame officially. Now, you could say he's in the Hall of Fame the moment it was announced by the NHL and the Hockey Hall of Fame. But he is officially in the Hall of Fame. He had his speech last night. Um, he waited 12 years. Well, he waited out his eligibility period, then 12 years sitting by the phone. He finally received the call to get his call for induction. Um, there was a ceremony last night, and he formally entered into it. Um, he banked 1,216 points in 1,363 games. Um, and there was a bunch of other guys winning, but I'm focusing specifically about it. Um, I'm guessing this is about Roenick. Is it deserved? I think so. I mean, he didn't win a cup, but but I think he did. I think he did enough to get in. I think he got himself into trouble with, being brash with a lot of things he said. But um, colorful Boston-born ringer added 122 points, including 53 goals and 154 playoff games. He won the silver in the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City when Team USA fell to Canada. Um, he said, "I love this game. It's been such a huge part of my life and most of my life. When you wait a long time, you don't know how that call is going to hit you. And I thought maybe before that it wasn't going to be as big of a deal as it was, but it hit me like a train." So I'm going to play this video here as well, but I'll give you some additional thoughts here as well. But I want to play this video, and I got it from YouTube, so hopefully I will be able to keep the video on YouTube tonight, but um, here's the segment that they played last night. I think I saw it on ESPN, so I did do some homework before the show. Yeah, I did some homework. Uh, I actually played this. I want to play this here, so just want you to hear about um, a moment in his life that changed him here. So here we go.
Summer of 2007, my career came to a standstill. 4 goals shy of 500. And no calls came on January 1st. No calls came on August 1st. Depression and heavy drinking had set in. I was in Idaho with my family, and my angel called. Doug Wilson, my first NHL roommate and the GM of the San Jose Sharks. He asked me to come see him in San Jose, and I flew out the next day. He could see the desperation on my face while on the golf course, and he asked me if I'd like to come play for the Sharks. I said, hell yes. Okay, he said, but I have 3 rules. 1, you have to play for the league minimum. 2, no media unless we ask you to, which was very hard. And number 3, no alcohol. I dumped the beer I had in my hand out and immediately shook his hand. And I scored my 500th goal 3 months later. Thank you, Doug Wilson, for being a great friend, but more important, for being a friend when I needed it the most. I would not be up here, and I don't mean up here, if it wasn't for you. You truly saved my life.
This is more.
And as you can tell, I do have I have the free YouTube, so perfect timing there with the ad. So I think that was where it stopped showing on ESPN as well. So, but I mean, yeah, he was outspoken. He got himself into trouble with NBC Sports back in the day. He was he had a interview on a podcast and he got himself into trouble because he was talking about a 3-way or whatever it was. Let me just double check that here as well, just so I can be accurate on there. Okay, yeah. Okay, so what happened was he made a joke about a threesome. He was suspended indefinitely late December of 2019 after making sexually suggestive comments about coworkers on a podcast. Roenick posted a video with the caption "What a joke," blah blah blah. That confirmed reports that he was not returning to the network. Although disappointed, I'm also grateful for the opportunity to share my love. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so the joke that got him into trouble. NBC Sports suspended him without pay after an appearance on Barstool Sports Spit and Chicklets podcast, which he made insensitive remarks about fellow broadcasters Catherine Tappan, Patrick Sharp, and Anson Carter. While taking a summer trip to Portugal that Roenick and his wife took with Tappan, Roenick reportedly told the story of how a hotel guest asked if all three of them were together. Um, Roenick said, "I play it off like we're all going to bed together every night, the three of us. And if it really came to fruition, that would really be good, but it's never going to happen." Um, about his former teammate Patrick Sharp, Roenick reportedly said, "He is so beautiful, I'd have to think about it if he asked me, but I would say no right away." Um, but you know what? But that was 6 years ago or 5 years ago. You know, I mean, he's still paying for it now, but he is. He does have a show on No Filter. It's just that whenever his show's on, it conflicts with anything that I'm doing. Kind of like how Will Clark and um, Eric Burns have a show on Tuesday nights. I was always conflicting with their show on Tuesday nights. They would get all the people watching. I would get shit. Uh, but but the one thing is, it was long overdue for him. And maybe he had a little bit of Kurt Schilling syndrome where he talked too much. Uh, but Kurt Schilling is a different category of uh, talking too much shit. But I think that a wrong was corrected, and he's in the Hall of Fame. He he said what he said. And you know I think in some regards you have to realize that you know you have to realize that you represent the NHL, you represented NBC. So I have no problem with NBC firing him. String him along like he did wasn't cool, but I would definitely, I would definitely say that in his world, he can't go anywhere without people saying, "Oh, that's Jeremy Roenick, the former hockey player," however you want to define him, NBC Sports or whatever he's doing. Whereas me, unless you know personal information about me, you know, just walking down the street, that's something different. But, you know, like I mentioned um, at Redacted Company, there was an email sent out after the Charlottesville riots in 2017, 2018, somewhere in that time frame. And Redacted Company said, "We're investigating this picture that was released to the media because it looks like Redacted Company's logo is emblazoned on the shirt that the guy was wearing." And if I remember correctly, Redacted Company uh, could not do anything with it because they couldn't confirm it was a person or whatever it is. So, um, but but the thing is, in my case, I would have to wear my ID around my neck. I would have to be wearing Redacted Company clothing just to, and then you have to go through the whole HR ethics process with reporting me because I'm representing Redacted Company, even though I will argue I'm not because, you know, I could say, well, I'm off the clock, but you still have Redacted logo on your shirt, on your jacket, or wherever around your neck with the ID. But in athletes' case, especially the more well known, you basically can't go anywhere. That's why Trevor Bauer, for example, and we won't get into whether he got off on charges or anything like that. And he got blackballed by Major League Baseball. But the thing is, You put yourself in that position. You put yourself in that position where, you're a Major League Baseball player. You know, most of the people know who you are, especially if you're in Cleveland at the time. But, and also the women he was allegedly choking or rough sex or whatever actually happened because, once again, there's three sides to every story: his side, her side, and that third part where what truly happened, which no one really knows. So, he he will definitely um he will definitely he may not pitch in Major League Baseball again. Now I wish he would, especially if it was on the Phillies, only because you get to see that eye candy of a agent he has. But that's just me being a pervert. But you wouldn't you expect you know that's what you would expect from me, right? Being a pervert from time to time. But yeah, so um Roenick got in, and you know I think that sometimes you have one of these moments that actually help you in the long run and in life as well, because who knows what would have happened to Jeremy Roenick. But he's also part of the venture with No Filter. Yeah, and I know I shouldn't be mentioning No Filter because, technically, if you think about it, they're a competitor to Twitch, to YouTube, to whatever. And I never had a problem with No Filter and the people that are on there. It was just, we just changed things around. That's all. And when I came over to Bleacher Brothers, we all decided to come over to YouTube and these other things here that we're doing here. So that's why we're on Twitch, on YouTube, on X, and that leads me to my announcement here. Mike knows about this because I told him in private last night. And starting next week, well, first of all, and you can label me a libtard or whatever. I don't care. It's not about, it wasn't about Trump winning the election, even though, even if you objectively look at Twitter/X and you say, yeah, it is turned into a bit of a right wing cesspool. But Twitter was a cesspool even before Elon took over. It was just that it was a cesspool in general. Um, so just to let you guys know, I have canceled my premium on Twitter/X, and I will, after Thursday's show, I will not be streaming to my personal X. Now, if you want to say it's because of the election, go right ahead. I don't give a shit. There's only one person that knows the truth, and it's me. And I'm going to let you in on what I was thinking when I went through that changes. Now, some people did say, "Oh, we're all going to Threads." I'm on Threads, it isn't the same, and but but the thing is, for $8 a month for what I was getting and what I was using it for, just wasn't worth it. Um, like for example, I promoted Rebet at the top of the show because I was telling you about me giving you St. Joe's if you followed me on Rebet. And if you follow me on Rebet, you would have also seen that I took Drexel plus 9.5 tonight, and they only lost by 8. So that's a win-win, winner-winner chicken dinner for me there as well. So the check mark doesn't mean shit to me. The only thing that I'm not going to like is I won't be able to edit things. So if I see that there's a glaring error that I need to fix, I just got to tweet it before somebody likes it. Or I have to quote retweet myself and say, correction, blah, 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 blah. And the one thing is with me, one of my OCDs is that things are spelled wrong or do not make sense whatsoever. So you can accuse me of being oh, you're just dropping that because of Trump. And if you want to believe that, go ahead. I don't care. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. So, for $8 a month, it wasn't doing what I wanted to do. Unlimited characters on a tweet, big fucking deal. Check mark, big fucking deal. Um, the edit, maybe that's the only thing, but I think that, for $8 a month, and also I don't even know if people on X are actually commenting. And like for example, when I spammed out, well, I don't know if you want to call it spam, but when I sent out the link for Rebet for you guys at the start of the show when we were talking about Villanova St. Joe's and Temple Drexel tonight, it goes to my YouTube, it goes to the Bleacher Brothers YouTube, and it goes to my Twitch. It does not go to X for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I never investigated, nor did I care. All I cared about was the stream went there. So that's the real reason why. So it has nothing to do with the election, but if you want to start shit and say it's because of the election, so be it. I'm not going to fight you. I know what the real reason is. Mike knows the real reason because I told him last night. Actually, AJ knows about it too because he was the first one that found out about it on Saturday before our show. So if you watch me on X, all you have to do is follow the Bleacher Brothers X account at Bleacher Brother without that S on the end because you only get 15 characters. So I'm not leaving X. If I was so pissed off at this election and so pissed off at Trump, that account would have already been deleted. And I encourage, whether you're on the left or on the right, think about that. Because it's not about doing, it's not about the election. It's not about Elon siding with Trump. Well, Elon's an asshole anyway, but that's something for another time. He was an asshole long before Trump. But I'm not leaving X. And I'm not leaving for Canada either. Well, I can't leave really Philadelphia either because I still have my job here at Redacted Company, and I have to stay um, within a certain radius of my home office in case either they call me in for a development day, as they called it in the memorandum of understanding, or let's say I have a power outage or the internet goes down And I did see that FiOS, which I do not have because my apartment complex is in bed with Comcast Xfinity. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning looking to see what time it was, and I did see somebody saying, "Anybody else's internet go out?" Well, it was the entire Eastern Seaboard with the Verizon footprint, I should say, that had that overnight. So, but um, but if I have to go downtown to work, obviously it has to be. I have to be within a certain radius. So that's why I say when I talk to friends about moving, and I might have said this to Mike ahead of time. I might have said it in the past, and if not, he's gonna find out tonight. I'm not moving right now, but with the only thing that's holding me back from moving is my job right now, which I'm protecting the nest egg, making my money. Got a Thanksgiving week coming up where I'm working both the Sunday and the holiday as planned. You know, I don't have family that's holding me back here in Philly. You know, even though you may think it's a little insensitive, but both my parents are gone, so I don't have to look out after them anymore. You know, I don't have anything family wise that's tying me down here to Philly. If I got another job somewhere else, yeah, I'm going if it means going elsewhere. Not gonna lie, but I know I probably have at least one more year here in this apartment. So probably the earliest I would move, and it may not happen. It may be that I'm here for a long time to come because I like being away from everybody. Mike knows exactly what I'm talking about. Now, granted, I don't like the neighbor across the hall slamming the door open and shut at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, sometimes I miss it because I sleep through it, but like today, I got up at 5 o'clock. I had to pee. I know I'm getting TMI with that, but sometimes sometimes you just wake up for no reason and you end up looking on Facebook to catch a thing or two, or you're looking to see what time it is and you can't fall back asleep. And then while you're not falling back asleep, you hear a door slam, another door slam. You hear the morning routine of somebody leaving the apartment building at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, things happen. But, I mean, I got at least another year here. So at the very earliest, you can see Mike is just like me. So I'm not going anywhere, but but I'm not going to lie. If all this leads to me going somewhere else and working for another company, for example, yeah, I'm out of here. But you know, it doesn't have anything to do with anything else. But my job at Redacted Company, because we had that work at home agreement through the end of the collective bargaining agreement, which I believe is August of 26. I have to double check that, but um, I have to be within a certain radius of my office at Redacted Company. So, but the thing is, going back to my announcement, if you think I'm canceling my premium because of Trump, because of Elon, because of everything else, you're wrong. Kind of like all the lies that were said throughout the campaign, and I'm not going to lie, well, probably shouldn't have said those words, but the one thing I will say is, oh, the Democrats lied too. Everybody lies in a fucking campaign, okay? You know, everybody does. And you have empty promises as well for the most part. But if you want to believe it's because of the election, go right ahead. I don't care. I know what the real reason is. Mike knows the real reason. AJ knows the real reason. And I'm still going to be on X. It's just going to be on the Bleacher Brothers page. So, because I am able to stream over there. So I'm going back to regular because just the way that this program works, and it's just it just doesn't work with the program that I use to stream out to YouTube and the Twitch. If you want to start rumors, go ahead. I don't give a shit. But I know the truth, and I saw the sign. It opened up my eyes when I saw the sign, or whatever the words are to that song. And there I go, quoting songs again. Once again, showing that I am a fountain of useless information. So, anyways, let me just check one thing here. Okay, and the one thing is, you know, the one thing I will say is, even though I stream on YouTube, on Twitch, and on X, which will soon be the Bleacher Brothers X, my preferred platform is Twitch, because if I had somebody on tonight, which I don't, I probably will raid out tomorrow night, because what I can do is I can raid out to another streamer if I wanted to. I'm not going to tonight, but tomorrow I do have somebody in mind already, and I've already gone to them already. So, but Bank Boy knows who it is. Mike probably knows who it is. But the one thing I will tell you guys is it's all part of the plan of growing the Twitch portion of this, because the Twitch portion, I can actually turn it into something more. And if that's something I could do, then that's what I want to do. But, we'll see what happens to everything. So we got Wednesday and Thursday coming up. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Thursday, 9 o'clock. Mike asked me, I don't know if it was before or after the show, but it was sometime during our downtime with the show. He goes, "What are you going to do about Thursday?" I'm still doing the show. I got to do my wash tomorrow morning or Thursday morning because I need my shirt. But it'll be a combination of stuff I want to talk about, and also we're going to talk the Eagles game as well. So that's definitely something that we're going to do. So Wednesday and Thursday, and also on Saturday, another edition of Also Eligible. Uh, we'll we'll probably have a hard out like we did last week. Um, AJ's hard out was 11 o'clock. My hard out was 11:15. We stopped at 11, but we were done anyway. But you know, we'll have a hard out probably 11:15 or 11:30 because I'm going up the street to the football game up at Northeast High School. So every Saturday, that's on all the Bleacher Brothers. Let me see here. Oops, hold on. No, that's not it. Those are my socials. Um, There it is. There it is. So that's the also eligible thing, the alert that I have here. So um, it's Saturday morning, 10 a.m. It's on Bleacher Brothers Facebook, Bleacher Brothers X, Bleacher Brothers YouTube, and Bleacher Brothers Twitch. So that is at 10 a.m. And I need to figure out what those commands are because I set them up and I forget them. And just for good measure, one last bumpty bump because I am a dope. So anyway, that's it for now. Do want to I appreciate everybody for watching on X, on YouTube, uh, on both YouTubes, mine and the Bleacher Brothers, and also everybody on Twitch here tonight. Mike, uh, GWK was here. GWK was here. Bank Boy was here. And everybody else who was watching wherever you are tonight. So I do appreciate everybody. We'll do it live again tomorrow night. We will do it at 9 p.m. Eastern once again. Because 9 p.m. is going to be my Wednesday night show time once again, and we'll go from there. So do appreciate everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the winner's circle. Check out my article for tomorrow because I did have a winning horse today. Granted, it only paid $290 to win, and I ended up with a loss because I gave you guys a superfecta that didn't come in because I was like, I can't just give you a $290 winner. But technically tomorrow, I'm going for the hat trick. So I'll see you at the winner's circle. I'll see you in the winner's circle, everybody. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.